Welcome to Unlimited Power. My name is D-Rod, and here's my guide to building and playing a Han Solo deck at your local pre-release or sealed event for Star Wars Unlimited's first set, Spark of Rebellion. Let's take a look at what Han Solo does and what cards I recommend you use to build around him. Now, reminder, a lot of the cards I recommend are commons and uncommons because those are the cards you're going to find the most in your pool. As good as rares and legendaries are, you can't always count on them to give you what you need to win, and you need to complement them some way. These cards will complement your leader or your overall theme of your deck. So Han Solo is a 6-cost leader unit. He attacks for 4 and he has 6 health. On attack, you can put the top card of your deck into play as a resource and ready it. At the start of your next action phase, defeat a resource you control. Interesting. Now, this essentially means Han has the ability of cheating resources into play a turn earlier than the opponent. Now, this is really neat, especially when you can look at them as a basic leader, where they have the same ability, but it only means they have to exhaust themselves and they can put a card into play. This means on the first turn, you can use Han's ability to have 3 resources. If you can do this right, there'll be one turn where not only can you put Han into play, let's see, when you have 5 resources, you can use Han's ability, put a resource into play, giving you 6, deploy Han, attack, and now you have 7 resources available 2 turns early. I think that's really strong. I think that's a great benefit, and it's going to open up a lot of options for you. The only problem with this is you are going to be going through your cards pretty quick out of your hand, and you're going to need to build around that. So some of the cards I'm already going to recommend for you are going to be in this first set of leader aspect cards. The Rogue Operative is a great low-cost unit that comes into play and puts some pressure on your opponent. Being able to play this the first turn with Han's ability, I think, is also going to put more pressure because it's a Saboteur unit that can hit for 4 with that Raid 2 ability. Your opponent's going to want to remove it fast, and they're going to have to either swing into it or use an event card. Next is Chewbacca, a great Sentinel unit and a loyal companion to Han Solo. Every time he's attacked, he can immediately ready. And lastly is Ezra Bridger, a key uncommon for playing Han Solo, because when he completes an attack, you may look at the top card of your deck, and you can either play it if you have the resources, leave it, or discard it. With Han Solo, you'll be going through cards out of your hand pretty quickly, so giving you an extra card that you have the option to play may benefit you immediately. In the cunning yellow aspect, I'm going to recommend the Mining Guild TIE Fighter. We just talked about how Han needs cards in his hand to use this ability, and so the TIE Fighter has the chance of paying 2 and drawing a card after it attacks. These other 2 cards are just going to be strong complements to the yellow leader that Han is. Syndicate Lackeys has that ambush ability, can hit for 5. If you need to play it a turn early, you can, but it's also great to just play the turn it can come out because it hits for 5 immediately, hopefully removing one of your opponent's units and surviving. Next is Gamorrean Guards. While you control a yellow unit, it gains Sentinel. You're playing a yellow-white leader, you're probably going to have some yellow units in play, and paying 4 for a 4/4 is just good math. Next, in the hero aspect, I'm going to recommend the Alliance X-Wing, a low-cost 2-drop unit here. Now, this is going to be important. There are some 2-drop units that I'm recommending in this build, and there's some other ones that I would say go well. For the most part, playing 2 drops means you may have some good options with Han without always having to feel like you need to use his ability, because if you use his ability every turn to play high aspect cards, you're pretty much going to be run out of cards real quick. So playing low cards is beneficial. Speaking of high cards, Snowspeeder. It's a 5 cost, but it has ambush, so it does something on play. If you need it a turn early, you can use it, but if not, the turn it comes into play, it's already doing something for you. Next is Regional Sympathizers with that Restore 2 ability and a 4 cost. I think it's a good one. Again, it puts pressure on your opponent. They're not going to want you to keep healing, so they're going to swing into it themselves. I also think it's on theme to who Han Solo is, of just being this smuggler, speed racer, he's Han Solo. I don't know what to tell you. He's Han Solo. In the aggression aspect, here's my 2-drop I recommend, Sabine Wren with that red. Just strong. She's always going to be good. She's a bit of a threat when she hits the board, and she's an easy uncommon to pick up. Now, Zeb Aurelios is a good one to put on the board early. He's a 5/5 for 5. Like, I think, that's great, but imagine playing him a turn 3, one turn earlier than your opponent expects. He has the ability to attack a unit, and when he defeats the unit, you can deal 4 damage to another ground unit. A lot of times when you put him out on the turn he's out, your opponents may already have some stronger units that Zeb may not be able to survive after he hits. I think just putting him out early works to your favor. Next is Open Fire, a great event that can remove most units in play. In the Vigilance aspect, I'm going to recommend Kain and Jarrus, a card that can do well in a limited format, so it really fits well with blue-white players. He has the ability of, on attack, you can discard 1 card from the defending player's deck, and for each friendly Spectre unit you have. We've already listed a few Spectres, and Ezra fits well with Han, so pairing him with Kanan just already fits. He also can heal your base based on the amount of aspects colors that were discarded during this. So at most, Kanan's going to be able to remove 1 card from your opponent's deck and heal you up to 2 life. Yoda can come into play really early and has that restore ability, so it's going to be a threat to your opponent, and when they're defeated, you're going to be able to draw a card. Drawing a card is always important for Han Solo because, again, you want to refill your hand. And last in the Vigilance aspect is Vigilant Honor Guards. Now, when this card is undamaged, it has Sentinel, so it may not have Sentinel the whole time it's out. However, it could be good for when you really need it. Again, Han doesn't come into play until you have 6 resources, so use the Honor Guard wisely to buy you the time you need. And in the command aspect, probably the one I would say pairs well with Han, we're going to start with Resupply. You can play Resupply the first turn using Han Solo's ability. This means on turn 2, you would already have 4 resources already in play at the start of that turn. You have 3 because of Resupply and the 2 you started with, and then you put 1 down that turn, so you're already 1 ahead. If you use Han's ability, you can now play a 5-cost card on turn 2. Really strong here. Now, the next card I recommend is Mercenary Company. We've talked about some of these ambush cards coming into play before Han is able to, and this card not only has ambush, but it has the overwhelm ability. So any damage that goes over the unit's health is going to go into their base. And lastly is Rogue Squadron Skirmisher. I talked a lot about those 2-drop cards, and I wish I could show you more, but I'm only focusing on 3 cards total. But Rogue Squadron Skirmisher is a great one to pair with Han. If you remember Han's ability, he puts a card from your hand into the resource pile. Now, at the end of the phase, that card's going to go into your discard pile, and you get to choose whatever card you want from your resource. So choose 2-drop units. Those are the cards that make it easier for you to say, you know what, I need to use Han's ability. I'm going to put the Mining Guild TIE Fighter in there. I'm going to put the Cartel Spacer in there. I'm going to put, any of these 2-drops, Alliance X-Wing, Sabine. Putting a 2-drop into your resource pile, sometimes it feels like, it's silly, I can play it now. But the Rogue Squadron Skirmisher is going to allow you to put that card back in your hand later. And I think that's really strong. So it has ambush, and you can return that card, getting you a little bit more of that value back. So these are the cards I'd recommend that you try with the Han Solo deck at your next limited event. Let me know how it goes in the comments, and again, may the Force be with you.